Hey guys, it's Ryan G. Wright with DoHardMoney.com. I thought it would be fun to come to you with our masked edition. Just so you know, we are wearing our masks and being safe, and I hope you are as well. I know it makes it a little harder to hear this video, but I hope you'll enjoy it. So today is a Just Ask Ryan question of the day, and today's question is, how can I invest in real estate without buying property? Kind of like these guys are watching on HGTV right now. So we're gonna deep dive into this. If you've got a question of the day you'd like to have me answer, please type it in the comments below. Just right below here, all you've got to do is just type a question in, and I will answer it as a Just Ask Ryan question of the day. But I'm gonna get, I used to drink a whole bunch of Diet Coke, but I stopped. Just for the record, it's water, but the ice is amazing, and the water in this filtration system, it's unbelievable. So before Coke will let you put a machine like this in, they make you get a certain filtration system so they can protect the quality of the cola. Anyway, today's Just Ask Ryan question of the day is, how do I invest in real estate without buying properties? We want to talk about this in quite a bit of detail in this masked edition that we're doing today. So there's a couple of different ways that you can invest in real estate without owning it. One is called wholesaling. Wholesaling is the idea where you find a property of somebody that wants to sell, and you find somebody that wants to buy, typically a cash buyer, and you get paid, you sell your contract to them. So let me make sure you understand this, right? So here's basically what happens is, you go and you find a property, okay? So you go, why is this pen not working? We need pens that work in here. Okay, so you go and find this property. This is you, okay? You go and find this property. You put it under contract. Let's say you put it under contract for $100,000. So all you've done to this point is you have a piece of paper that's signed by you and it's signed by the seller. Okay? That's it. You've signed it, the seller signed it. Okay? Then what happens is you find someone that's a cash buyer. And these are really easy to find, because what I can do is I can go back and I can say, who has bought a property in this zip code that paid cash for the property? And once I do that, then I can market to these guys. I can call them, I can send SMSs, I can do all kinds of marketing to these guys. And typically, I go find this before I go find this. But I can do it either way, okay? So once I do that, then I tell them, hey, I have a property, and I may say, I'm gonna sell this property for $120,000. Okay? And if one of these cash buyers says yes, then what happens is they give me a check for $20,000, and then they take over the contract that I have here, and then they close on the property. I just have to make sure this is assignable. And there's several different ways to do this, but this is just one. This whole process is called wholesaling, okay? This is the process of wholesaling, and so what you're doing is finding a property and finding someone who wants to buy it. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a cash buyer. It could be a landlord or something like that. The reason you like a cash buyer is the transaction goes a lot easier. There's different restrictions in different states, so you just gotta be aware about that, but that's the idea of wholesaling. Finding a great deal, locking that great deal up, and then selling or assigning or doing a double closing, whatever works in your state. That's this process of wholesaling. That's one way. Now, another way you can do real estate without having to buy a property is called master leasing. Okay? This idea of master leasing is, rather than you buying a property, you lease the property. This is done quite a bit in Airbnb, but it's also done in long-term rentals. This is basically how it works. Guy has a property. He's tired of it. He's a burnt-out landlord, whatever the case is. And so you go to him and say, hey, you're trying to rent this property. You're trying to rent this property for $1,500, right? Why don't I take care of the repairs and the maintenance and all that type of stuff? And with that, I'm going to rent this property for $1,000 from you. So you're going to make a little less, but you don't have to worry about the repairs. I'll take care of the repairs. I'll take care of the maintenance. If the furnace goes out, I'll take care of that. Whatever the case is. Or you can say no, and you just say, I'll rent it for $1,500, but you have to take care of all those things. It just depends on how you want to structure your deal, okay? Then what happens here is you then go and you Airbnb this house. And you have to go and furnish it. But let's say you rent it for $250 a night, and you end up renting it for so many nights, and so you end up making like $10,000 on the property. And then you pay the landlord this. So one, you have to have permission from the landlord to sublease the property in a short-term rental. You've got to make sure it's zoned for short-term rentals so you can get a short-term rental license. So none of that becomes an issue for you, okay? So those are the types of things. But what happens is you are not buying this property. You have a lease And if you do it right, you have a lease that auto-renews at your discretion. And so the risk that you have on this is you have to furnish it. Okay? But the nice thing is you own the furnishing. So if this guy, a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, however long you do the lease for, you can take these furnishings and go put it into a different property. So this is the idea of master leasing, okay? This is the idea where you go find somebody and say, I'll lease the property for you. You're leasing it at a certain percentage. You take care of repairs, or you have them take care of repairs depending upon what risk level you want to take on. Then what happens is you then get somebody, you then rent it on a short-term rental on an Airbnb. You can also rent it long-term, okay? You may be saying, hey, I'll rent it for $1,500, but I'm going to put in a long-term rental for $1,750. You take care of all the repairs. Landlord takes care of the repairs. I make a $250 spread. This is done in commercial property all the time. I lock up a lease, I sublease, and I make the difference. So you can do this with residential property without having to buy a property. You can do wholesaling without having to buy a property. Now I'll give you one more that's just a little tip here. This is called subject to deals. Now this one you actually buy the property, but basically you buy the property subject to the existing loan. So these are called subject to deals. Okay, with subject to deals, basically what's happening here is we've got a little property, okay? Let's say he owes $100,000 and he wants $110,000 for the property. I'm just using numbers here, right? I'm just using numbers. So 110. So what you basically do is say, hey, I'll give you $10,000, but I'm going to take over your existing loan and I'll just make your payments to the bank. Okay, so that's a subject to deal where you take it over. You don't have to qualify. You don't have to have good credit. Sometimes you don't even have to pay him any money. Sometimes it's like, hey, why don't I just take over your payment? And what I'll do is that $10,000, I'll pay you that in 2 years. Or maybe you say, you know what, I'll pay you $20,000 in 2 years, and I'll just take that over, and then you pay them later. But this situation, you're actually owning the property. So that's subject to. So check out my video on subject to property. So there are multiple ways to invest in real estate without buying properties. Regardless of your situation, if you have bad credit, if you don't have a lot of money, there's multiple methodologies for you to start investing. There's no excuse other than the excuse you're giving between your ears. So if you want some help with any of this, check us out at dohardmoney.com. dohardmoney.com. We've got software, we've got tools. We can help you find cash buyers. We can help you find people that are motivated sellers. We can help you understand leases and what rents are going for and where there's opportunity with this. We can help you find subject to deals. We have software, we have tools, we have resources, we have videos, we have funding to help you fund these deals depending if you want to do a fix and flip or anything else like that. We've got it all for you. So come check us out at dohardmoney.com. Now, if you have liked this video on how to invest without buying a property, please hit the thumbs up button now. I take a lot of time to put these videos together, and I want to make sure they're huge value to you. So please hit that thumbs up button right now. And if you've got a question you'd like to have me answer, please type it in the comments below, and I'd be happy to answer that as a Just Ask Ryan question of the day. When you smash that like button, it tells the YouTube logarithms that I should be getting promoted more, and I would really appreciate that. Couple of videos you should watch out. I've got a subject to video you should check out. I've also got how do I invest in hard money lending, which is also a way that we haven't even talked about in this video of ways you can invest in real estate without buying property. The difference with that is you need to have some cash, or you need to have money in a 401k, or you need to have money on a line of credit on a house. You need to have some methodology with coming up with some additional money. So those are the things we're talking about. Check us out over at dohardmoney.com. Hit that like button and make it a very profitable day.